Brandon Pacheco here. Welcome back to Greenlight Cinema. Happy to have you guys back with me. I don't have a lot of Star Wars props with me today, other than my Halloween shirt. You know, I'm wearing this. Yeah, about that time. Christmas is just around the corner, and I cannot wait to see Jack Skellington. He's my favorite part of the holiday. Or am I getting all that mixed up? Oh, yeah, so let's start this episode. Let's start this review. So I guess other critics right now are probably at the movies watching Deadpool Wolverine and probably going to review it the next day, while this media critic with 2 thumbs stays at home and finishes Star Wars The Acolyte. Yeah, it's no, I'm gonna stop ragging on this show, starting with this episode. But if it starts to... So far, this episode is actually bringing merit to this series. 33 pages worth of notes. And this isn't even Fargo. I'm starting to crack. Let's get started and someone get me my anxiety meds, right? This episode broke new ground. It even had Taylor Swift in it. No, I'm picking. But if it did, my wife probably would have watched it with me. Oh gosh, and if you hadn't already, please let me ask you to like this episode and subscribe to my channel, Greenlight Cinema, guys. Please subscribe. Right, and also share this, please. Okay, we have a lot of spoilers that's going to happen in this episode, so it's going to be almost impossible for me to not give out spoilers. So if you're not ready for spoilers, you might want to finish this episode and come back to my review. They're at Climactic's domicile, all the Jedi, because they got May surrounded. May's inside the domicile of Climactic, and the Jedi have their backs turned. Spoilers, guys! Quirm shows up, and he's the black mask guy, and so he shoves Osha, pushes her out of the way, throws dirt on the Jedi. So here we are. Still the same night, and Osha's woke up to a violent lightsaber battle. She's like Pip, her little droid thing, and then it's before I get going, I want to go ahead and give my recommendations on this episode. I loved it. I'm not just saying that for a cheap, unwanted, unintended laugh. I'm giving this episode 4 stars. It's there. So far this series, I want to give it 3.5 stars, maybe 4 there. Back to Osha. She wakes up to the roughest lightsaber duel that I've ever seen. And we see our antagonist this whole time, the figure in the mask. It'd be just a lot easier if I just go ahead and say it's Quirm than rather say that dark, shadowy figure, in the mask and everything. So spoilers, it's Quirm. He is violently murdering these Jedi like he is on a warpath. Quirm, his helmet is really quite interesting. It's like it breaks or disables lightsabers temporarily. It's like they applied new science to the lightsaber in this episode, which I found interesting and appreciated. We see Quirm doing things with the Force I've never even seen before. He's grabbing Jedi and then pulling them into his lightsaber and murdering 2 at a time and throwing some on a tree. And we see Osha, and she tries to stun Quirm with her stun gun, but his helmet again, it's got a lot of special capabilities to it. I'm done making fun of this helmet. I've never seen any Sith armor or Jedi armor do the things that this helmet did. So Osha tries to stun Quirm, but his helmet blocks the blast. Yord yells out for Osha to run. I've been watching Star Wars all my life, and I've never seen Jedi in Star Wars look so scared, worried, unprepared. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody go save them, you know. Yoda, where are you? The violence in this scene, no, I want to take that back. The violence in this episode is possibly the most brutal, overly vulgar, crass in some places. I guess feels very, you know, with the violence and how he's going after her. It's like almost like some from HBO. I like this. Like, I'm saying Disney and Star Wars go all the way. I mean, I give this episode a hard PG-13, and if you know, continued on here, it'd be an R rating on this. We see May back in Climactic's, she's still in the domicile. We see her grab K-Dog. That's what I put in here, by the way. I got tired of writing Climactic. Still inside his domicile, hiding too. I don't like that, you know. This almost looks like a May's concern for Osha, but she's not. She's still hiding for her own protection. Osha's running from Quirm because she tried to blast his helmet, and so he's like, oh, that was nothing to me, but I can kill you. Hiding and throwing his lightsaber and chasing her with like a Jason Voorhees slasher film. Looks bizarrely insane for Star Wars. But Soul shows up right, and it's so funny, like, characters just keep popping in the frame in this episode to go help or rescue the other character or bail them out of whatever trouble. Soul just pops out with a lightsaber and like force pushes Osha, like, take civilian to the ship. And he, like, Yord's like all freaked out, like, I'm not, you know, gonna argue, let's go. Next we have our splashy opening title cry. You betcha, that's nice. Next we have a standoff between Quirm and Soul, two worthy adversaries ready to duke it out with lightsabers. Not their hands. That comes later because Quirm asks Master Soul, you don't remember me, do ya? And Soul says, I do sense something familiar about ya. They're hacking each other with lightsabers. It's interesting to me that Soul is like offended about this Sith character, you know, using a lightsaber, which is the weapon of a Jedi. You know, that almost comes off offensive to Soul. He's using the Jedi arts and skills. It's like a disrespect, or, you know, he has not ever seen a Darth Maul, Darth Vader. I believe that this is, you know, probably Soul's very first Sith encounter, and Soul just don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, to me, I believe that adds more believability to the story of what you're trying to tell with Star Wars in ancient times, you know. And this episode does a lot of the traditional Star Wars fast-paced cutaway, cut to what's going on with, you know, our team A and our team B. This felt like traditional Star Wars without being hit over the head with a Baby Yoda. And I know I'm wearing Baby Yoda right now, but I like Star Wars. I just really don't like The Mandalorian.
This is the way.
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 So nice to finally sit down and watch something without Boba Fett mask or Baby Yoda throwing at me. Old Yoda's cool again, maybe. I think he may make an appearance in this, I hope. Old Yoda is always cool. This guy, yeah. Fantastic episode. Let's get back into it. May's trying to leave the domicile, and as she comes out, Jackie pops out trying to arrest May. I mean, they are throwing punches. I was very worried about little Jackie here. I don't know if she knows as many skills as May does at this point. Kind of a comical scene in a way. Jackie, she's trying to place her under arrest. And she's like, you're under arrest for the murder of, I cannot remember the very first one's name, and Master Tobin. And like, she can't finish out, like, arresting May because this little Jedi, she's so obedient. Like, she's like, I have got to do this by the book or it's not right. But it's taking a longer time to apprehend May because of her long rap sheet, and she's giving Jackie a hard time like it's a cops episode. Like, get on the ground, you know. But all of the action is good in this episode. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, Jesus, is intense, you know? Back to Sol and Quirm. They're still dueling with the lightsabers. But, you know, they get, like, slow moments where they kind of can ask each other questions. Like an art, like fencing in a way. It's like, you know, all right, now while my back's not turned, let me ask you a question, and I'll face you this way and reply back. Sol asked him straight up, like, who are you? You trained me. Quirm said, take off my mask and let you read my thoughts? No. This helmet is overly practical. It can not only block Jedi lightsabers and disable them for temporarily, but it can also block the Jedi's like reading their thoughts. I mean, this guy's armor is back like 100 years before Darth Vader's armor. Can it do anything besides looking like imposing? And like, it'd be so easy to kill Vader and just rip his box off and he can't breathe, right? People who made this really thought of everything. I can't give them any guff, you know. So next we have a scene. It's this part where we hear Jackie yelling out. May's, you know, about to get the best of her. It cuts to, we see Yord and Osha, and she's like, that was Jackie, we gotta go help. Yord's like, hey, you heard Master Sol, we have orders. We have orders to get you back to the ship. Something straight out of Attack of the Clones, like when Anakin, when Obi-Wan's like in trouble, and Anakin, but Mace Windu's like, but you stay put where you're at, because keeping the Senator is your priority to keep her safe. It's kind of like this going on though with Osha. Only I think that she like has a connection with Jackie, but we're like cutting back and forth, and like we see Sol and Quirm and their lightsaber dueling, but they're like, again, like they're doing the fancy like fencing where like he gets like hua, hua, but he like pushes Sol down and he just vanishes like Batman away from Sol. So then we get this scene that's kind of slow but with thrilling dialogue. Like, we could really use a scene like that right about now. But Osha's like, what's up, like, she's like, what's up, Yord? Like, what is going on? What is that thing? And Yord looks puzzled and freaked out, scared, crack in his voice. I don't know. He doesn't follow any rules of combat. There's no method to his movements. He just gets inside your head and stays there. And then Osha mentions something real interesting. She's like, oh, my mom could do that with Jedis. And she could get inside their head and just stay there and freak them out. And then they just move on to this and don't bring it up anymore in this episode. And I'm like, whoa! Go back to that. And which mom was it, you say? It's like a paranormal ability. I mean, it's kind of creepy. I mean, we seen like black eyes in the very first episode. Like, this feels almost like borderline horror movie. But yeah, this very impressive story that Osha tells about her mom. It's like she brings it up out of nowhere and then instantly forgets it and doesn't bring it back up anymore in this episode. Which was kind of like, I'm like, oh, tell me more. But Yord's like, alright, but forget it, let's keep moving. Forget that useful information. Let's keep moving. May pulls out her blade and she's about to like jab this in Jackie's neck. She's like headbutts her arm. After she headbutts May's arm, Jackie's able to subdue May and like finish handcuff her. And as soon as Jackie cuffs May, like Climactic's lightsaber falls out on the ground. And I loved how upset Jackie looks. Jackie sees K-Dog's saber laid out. You know, she's like, you took the man's life. Okay, that's not enough. And then you gotta take his stuff too. The cast in this episode was so impressive. They made me feel things with these characters. Which that is succeeding in a movie or a TV show. These characters feel real to me. Like I vibe with them. I feel with them, you know? I feel like The Force Awakens. And I don't want to talk bad about The Last Jedi. I kind of have a special place for that movie. I can excuse some of its parts in a way. But, you know, as far as The Force Awakens goes and the Rise of Skywalkers. I feel so bad that it feels like we get gypped or something. You know, you look at those movies and they're really like a cautionary tale as to what not to do. But this is when Hollywood was still doing pretty good with keeping people in the movie theater. Those movies are just a failed, rushed, stupid, embarrassing mess and a waste of time. I can honestly say I've grown to like these characters watching them in this season. 3 more episodes to go, so I'm not gonna get ahead of myself on this. So far this is better than the sequel trilogy with Rey and whoever the rest of those characters were. Back to Jackie and May. Jackie's rolled May over and found K-Dog's saber, and she's not too happy about it. After Jackie's trying to catch her breath and Quirm pops out fighting Jackie, Quirm tells May to learn from this Padawan. She's learning about obedience while being handcuffed. I'm like, 50 Shades of Grey, come on. Hey, Leslie, I've been watching the Netflix and the 50 Shades of Grey on there. Quirm breaks Jackie's lightsaber or disables it again, and it turns into another lightsaber, and she does kind of like a grin, like, how about that, you know? I really do like the science behind the lightsaber being kind of destroyed temporarily, you know, like, yeah, it's like it gets chipped on the helmet or it gets cut in half. Wiggle the lightsaber handle around for a second, and it ought to just the kyber crystal ought to just. But it makes me wonder though, like after you're done using it, how do you cut it off? You didn't think of that one, did you, Leslie? And Quirm, once he notices that Mace took off, he throws Jackie kind of to the rocks and disables her lightsaber and like takes off. Like, again, this is like, he's like, I cannot let me go. And I'm like, wonder why though. Back to Osha and Yord. We learn a fast little scene that the bugs don't like the lightsabers or light. Like, they have a weird thing about it, which I guess is a little setup and payoff for later. What's really interesting when we see May running, we see like what Yord was talking about. May's being plagued by Quirms, like his helmet's like zoomed up close and calling her a coward and saying all these things to her. It's like he's inside her head and he's staying there. It's like, oh, okay, that I really like that visualization. That was really good. Sol and Jackie show up together, taking on a Sith in the woods. And, you know, we have it's a great homage to the Phantom Menace. Like, the only exciting scene in the Phantom Menace is Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, you know. And this felt like that, only a way cooler scene. Because I love this planet. And the woods, those like red things falling down out of the sky. It's a great atmosphere. But we have May force communicating with Osha. You know, is this help or is this a trap? You know, back to Jackie, Sol, and Quirm's duel. Jackie finally, you know, starts besting Quirm almost. And she breaks his helmet. And we don't see yet who he is. His lightsaber is somehow able to switch into 2. I was like, oh, that looks like my off-brand lightsaber. Props on the fast-paced editing. I mean, really. And in an instant, when we watched Quirm's mask hit the ground, his lightsaber, like, boom, 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 puts 3 holes and kills her instantly. Show this little close-up scene of Osha, and you can just tell that she felt Jackie pass on into the Force. I was like, man, this is really Star Warsy now. I see Quirm. Oh, I'm telling you, great writing right here. This episode really does its job, guys. We really don't like our antagonist. Sol's like, Jackie, you know, when she dies. Quirm goes, was that its name? This guy. Sol said she is just a child. Quirm throws his like cloak like he's Doctor Strange. Throws it at Sol. It was kind of neat, but in a way it kind of threw me off. I'm like, boy, that'd throw anybody off. Like, what's this guy's next move next? And at the same time, while Quirm does this, he pulls May to him with a forced chokehold, and he's choking May and lightsaber and soul all at the same time. Like, I'm like, man, this guy's not missing a beat. Quirm tells me, you really didn't know it was me? That kind of felt a little cliche. Like, this is the parts where it's starting to slow down in some way. Again, 5 stars to this character. Again, great job on the writing, because I've never wanted to kick a bad guy's ass more than I did in this episode. I'm not counting the whole Kylo Ren killing Han Solo. Like, yeah, that was bad. He was a beloved character, but these are beloved characters that I was getting to love and to know. And I'm like, oh, man. I mean, we have Quirm here force choking me and still keeping up with Soul with a lightsaber. Like, I mean, this guy makes Darth Vader look like a cupcake, you know? This is such a vile character. I mean, he attacks Soul, but like not just physically. He hurts him, but kills the people he loves and attacks his morals. Soul draws his lightsaber out on him. He goes, that wasn't very Jedi-like of you to turn your lightsaber on me when I have my back turned to ya. We are at the tail end of this episode, and it just gets more interesting. Quirm has me like a lightsaber to the head, like a hostage scene, like with a gun. I'm like, whoa! I brought up the dark. I want to say it's like kind of like some Dark Knight themes going on, like Harvey pointing a gun at Gordon's, children, or like Bane breaking Batman's spirit. I don't know. That's a lot of where my themes and thoughts come from with all of this, Soul's like, what are you? And Quirm's like, well, a Jedi like you would call me a Sith. Says, then why risk rediscovery then? But then Quirm comes back with the most he's sarcastic. He's like, well, I did wear a mask. Soul asks, what do you want? And he wants freedom without any Jedi rules or any Jedis like Soul telling Quirm he can't do this or he can't do that. And he wants a loyal pupil that won't go back on their deals that he makes with them. So he's like, I have to kill her and all the Jedi because you know my face. Which I'm like, boy, okay, this is kind of getting comic booky, a little black and white. Here we are with our last great pop-up scene of the episode. So Yord pops out and fights Quirm with his mask and lightsaber. And I was rooting for Yord hardcore. Yord and Quirm are dueling right now. And Yord gets distracted and recognizes Quirm from like 3 episodes ago. And he's like, it was you? Just grabs Yord by the neck and breaks his neck. I was like, oh my gosh. We have not seen anything. That's why I'm saying this deserved a hard PG-13. Jeez. The pure vulgar violence in this Star Wars is a lot for me to process. Don't know what to quite, how to quite feel about the, it's a lot for me to process here, but I'm really enjoying it. Osha sees me trying to run again, and so she stuns me, or she thinks she does. And we see Soul, and he is just so hurt. Soul and Quirm don't use sabers anymore. They're just using their fist. Men boxing and UFC, like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, whoa, right? Like, where has this been and where did it come from? Jedis are essentially old samurai warriors and the like. Well, I can see that they have to be defensive, right? Without lightsabers and maybe without the Force. How awesome was this scene, other guys and other people who like fights? Comment down below these 2 characters. Here we have Soul at his breaking point. He's confronted with this difficult struggle. The drama in this scene is the result of us rooting for Soul against opposition, and Quirm being that opposition. Quirm even does these evil smiles, it's like again here again with another Dark Knight reference. It reminded me of the Joker in a way. He's like Bane and the Joker, just all in one character as a Sith. That's pretty crazy and intimidating, you know? I mean, Quirm's really just trying to make Soul, like, give in to his dark side, you know? Soul finally draws his lightsaber on him, though. But, again, like, from something we've seen before, Revenge of the Sith, we have, like, Palpatine versus Mace Windu with Anakin, like, you know... it's like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not the Jedi way. Don't hurt the unarmed or kill the unarmed. And it's like, we've seen this happen with Palpatine. You remember how that went. So Osha, you know, she stops him. She's like, Soul, you know, don't give in, you know, this dark side. And he's like, oh, like he almost loses humanity. Like Luke, yeah, they really are good with this, you know. But, you know, in Soul's defense, he says that Quirm's mind's been twisted by the dark side, like twisted and evil. Quirm asks, what has Soul done with his darkness? Soul don't answer that, you know, right away. And Osha saves the day. She's like, you know, we don't do that to the defenseless. You know, kind of reminds Soul of his humanity and being a Jedi. But then, you know, Quirm's like, rules, and pulls out his lightsaber. And as he does, she, like, he's not unarmed anymore in her mind, so she attaches that light, her flashlight, and attaches it to his back. And he's got, like, all these fast moves, but he can't get the flashlight off his back. I don't know. Anyway, he gets carried off by the bugs. The lightsaber and the light on his back attracts the bugs and takes them. So it's a little anticlimactic in some way, you know. I know that's not the end of Quirm. Some fast reflexes, you know, Jedi reflexes Osha has here, yeah. The scene calms down for a second. Osha's like, so what did he mean by, like, not trusting you or you having a dark side? And Soul's like, I will tell you, Osha. But as soon as he's about ready to, he gets stunned by May, and I'm like, oh, see, where I'm just like, end this episode already. I'm like, oh, it's dragging. But Osha, so she goes to May, and May's like, you gotta ditch those Jedi, you know. And Osha's like, you know, they've been more of a family than you were to me, May. Like, she's like, you're crazy. Like, get away from me. I don't like things like this, mostly where, you know, it happens to be the same actor playing two characters. I complained about this with Fargo, with Ewan McGregor playing the Stussy brothers. I don't buy this. This is two different people, because they get into a scuffle, the two gals here, Osha and May, and, you know, May knocks out Osha, grabs Climactic's lightsaber, and lightsabers her own hair to kind of shape up and make it look like Osha's. Like, it looks like a scene out of Apocalypse Now, which I kind of thought looking, you know, kind of neat and cool. How far and crazy is this episode gonna get? And then we see Quirm come out of a tree and like, you know, like like he's got witch abilities, I guess. I don't know. He just comes down with his cloak and grabs his helmet, and he's walking around kind of surveying the damage. And we see Basil, our little tracker. Thank goodness he's still alive, guys. Like, yes, I like Basil. He's like doing his little Basil thing, you know, and sneaking around. But May goes and, you know, tries to assist. She's dressed as Osha, so I'm like, oh, this is so stupid, but okay. And she's not really doing a good job, like, even acting like Osha. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, Soul, you're a Jedi. Don't you and Osha have this connection going on? He just doesn't even, like, he just seems like he's still, like, out of it, where he got, you know, blasted. He's just kind of, like, disoriented. But he's on the ship with me, and this feels like a trap. You know, she's going to the Jedi, where she's mad at. And Basil's on the ship, so I hope nothing happens to him. Or maybe, you know, he'll, like, do his little Basil thing and let Soul know. But we see Quirm He's found Osha. You know it's Osha because she's, got her little Jedi tattoo. He's like, puts his cloak or robe on her and tries to take care of her. And this, to me, is going to be interesting, We have two characters here that's been betrayed by mate. I kind of like Quirm in some way. Hope Osha can turn him and they can, just go after her together, I don't know. There's a lot that can happen in these 3 episodes still left. But man, this was kind of a great episode. It dragged on a little bit. I apologize, and if the review was a little bit longer, but I give so far the Star Wars The Acolyte all the thumbs up. All the stars. Please like this episode and subscribe to my channel and share it, guys. Please let me know what you'd like me to review next that's not the Succession. Okay, guys, have a great night. Thank you. Brando out. Bye.